Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
It's really loud in here, I know, but who else is here?
I'm Dana.
Dana's here, everybody.
That was really scary.
Did it seem really, really loud this time for some reason, or was it just me?
Those are loud crows.
Yeah.
You haven't heard that yet. Or wait, you have heard that, right?
no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
It's not
I'm only up to Swamp Thing.
That's the first Halloween episode, so
that's-
it would have been on there.
Swamp Thing was the first one.
Oh, you probably missed it.
Yeah, I probably realized.
Probably did.
I don't think
that was the
it's-
one where we didn't have the right music. Jason and I were reacting to not to the scary music.
And you reacted perfectly to the scary
we're professional
music.
I
podcasters.
mean, hello.
We know what we're doing.
This is our first podcast. We're here to talk about Poltergeist today. That's what brought Dana here, and that was Brian hitting his mic this time.
Damn.
Usually it's one of us hitting it.
Giant watch.
So excited over there. Talking about Poltergeist, you got him excited.
This is
Poltergeist, huh? All right, cool.
rated PG. It released June 4th, the scary month for movies, June 4th, 1982. Running time of 1 hour and 54 minutes. Poltergeist, directed by Tobe Hooper.
Possibly.
I say he did.
This felt like such a Spielberg movie.
I also read a lot. There was a lot of chemicals being ingested on the set of this movie
By the entire cast or just him?
by Toby and others.
Craig and Jo Beth and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
Were they rolling their own joints like I saw in this movie?
He threw it at her.
yeah, that was very strange.
She was smoking a joint and then rolling a joint.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh, I do. I remember in the theater seeing this and being like, what are they doing? Because I was 11, so I didn't know what they were doing.
And then the little kid from Airplane 2 just standing there like looking at his mom as she's
What's
rolling her
Airplane
joint.
2? That's right. Are you going to give us a little like a summary about this movie before we spoil it all?
First, I talk about a little more about Tobe Hooper.
Okay.
He passed away 2017, age 74. His cause of death was natural causes. In his top four, do you have any guesses? Poltergeist is in his top four. Do you have any guesses on his other?
I do.
I think I had looked it up, so.
Brian?
I didn't look it up, and I can't even
Well,
guess.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is definitely in there.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is in
And
there.
he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but I don't know
Texas
if that's
Chainsaw Massacre 2 is also in there.
And God damn it, I know he did something else big. It's not coming to me.
You'll know it after I say it.
Yeah.
Life Force.
That was not it. Life Force was not it. There was something else that he did.
I don't know
Life
what
Force
it,
is not
I
it.
know it. I didn't put anything else down, but that was all I had for him. But,
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I thought there was one other thing, but certainly not as big as Poltergeist or Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, obviously, one of the writers and one of the possible co-directors, I guess you could possibly say, for this is Steven Spielberg, which you mentioned earlier.
I found it interesting when I was reading up on this. Not today. I've read up on this probably maybe when we were doing E.T. or even before that, that he wanted to do a trilogy of movies, Close Encounters, E.T., and Poltergeist, and they were all going to be connected. And obviously, when you watch them, they're not connected.
Well, I think I think he offered Tobe Hooper, he had a chance at E.T. as well, and he didn't want to do that. So that's why he chose Poltergeist.
Spielberg could only do one of these movies, right? He was like something contractually obligated to not do the other movie. He had to choose.
Yeah. Our IMDb description and then the longer description. The first is the IMDb description. A family's home is haunted by a host of demonic ghosts. That's it.
That describes like 150 movies. Isn't that like Amityville Horror and everything else?
And then a little bit further down in there's I guess like more of a plot. It goes, a young family are visited by ghosts in their home. At first, the ghosts appear friendly, moving objects around the house to the amusement of everyone. Then they turn nasty and start to terrorize the family before they kidnap the youngest daughter. And it leaves it at that. So I think that's a good spot to leave it at before you get into giving away too much.
Sure. Oh, spoilers after this point? Okay.
Well, I mean,
no. In a description.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest. Watching this movie today, and I've seen this movie, I saw this in the theater 40 years ago, but I also saw it wherever, VCR, DVD, something like that. This is the first time I guess I ever realized, I guess I always thought this was like Indian burial ground stuff. This is the first time I really realized this is just a regular burial ground. There's no Indian burial ground here. I always thought like
I think Family Guy did an Indian burial ground, or possibly a Simpsons.
maybe, but like,
I do know I do know why you had that feeling.
and another thing, I always thought that the digging up of the pool was the reason that the ghosts started coming.
came out from that.
I thought the digging of the pool like disturbed their burial, but the ghosts come before they started digging the pool. So I'm not.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure why the ghost came at all.
Maybe now Poltergeist 2 and 3 could possibly be seeping into your brain as well.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe.
remember those off the top of my head, but yeah.
I never saw 3.
Yeah.
I only saw 2 once. So did I do that
can't
math
recall
right?
seeing 2 or 3, but I know I've seen 2 at least once. Yeah.
I've seen them all.
I know I saw the second one. That was with the old man
Yes, a creepy old man. Oh my God.
who looked like the guy on the cover of the Anthrax Among the Living album, but I don't know if they're connected at all. I know it's not.
Wouldn't that be great if it was?
He was supposed to be the guy from The Stand, but
Do we want to?
third one. The third one had like Tom Skerritt and someone else
Tom
famous in it.
Skerritt.
Laura
That's-
Flynn Boyle.
Was it Lara Flynn Boyle?
I think
Was
so,
she
from
the mom?
Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah, okay.
No, it was her cousin. It was her and her cousin.
She went to stay with them in Chicago or
Yeah.
something like
In
that.
like a high rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw it. I saw the preview. That's it.
Let's talk about our cast. Jo Beth Williams was top cast
Top
here.
billed. Good for her being like billed over Craig T. Nelson. She might have been more famous at the time, but still, a woman getting billed over a man back then. Good for her.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in that time. I agree, and she's playing Diane Freeling. I guess you would call her the matriarch of this
Yeah.
story here, right? Do you have anything from her top 4 other than Poltergeist, which is in her top 4?
I hope I can name her whole top 4, but I'll let everybody else
I
go
can't
first.
think of a thing she was in.
I
Right.
know her name, like,
Well,
but
she was
I can't think of anything else.
she was definitely in Kramer versus Kramer, and she was definitely in Teachers.
Kramer versus Kramer is
Oh.
in her top
Is-
4.
Part 2 in her top 4?
Poltergeist 2 is in her top 4. Yes.
And Teachers, something else.
The Other Side is her other top 4.
Damn it, man! Each one of these people have I've never seen it
And
ever
then
or heard of it.
But she was in
Top 4.
Stir Crazy.
Right? Yes, Stir Crazy for sure.
She was
Yep.
in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
I don't think I ever saw that.
That's
I
a
saw
Stallone joint.
Stallone joint. Yeah.
She's Stir Crazy. Yeah, she's the girl. She's the sister of the guy that their lawyer. I think she helps them break out.
Yeah. Second build was not Craig T. Nelson either.
It wasn't.
No.
I'm shocked by that.
Heather O'Rourke.
She was the
Second
second
cast.
build.
According to IMDb that I looked at.
Wow.
last night, yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Carol Ann Freeling. She sadly passed away age 12.
Yeah, I remember when she died. That was
February 1st, 1988.
of some like disease, right?
Cardiopulmonary arrest and intestinal stenosis.
Yeah, I remember hearing it was like intestinal blockage or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, just take a poop.
Her top
Feel better.
Her top 4 were
Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3, and Happy
Happy
Days.
Days.
Happy Days. Yeah. Can you tell me how many episodes of Happy Days she was in?
I don't remember her from Happy Days.
She was Fonz was dating a girl, and it was he was
She had a
dating
daughter.
he was dating I feel we've talked about
We
this
have.
already.
She was on the Love Boat, and
Okay.
she married Patrick Duffy later.
Okay,
later years.
so whoever that is, and I'm going to say she was on like a half season. I'm going to say 13 episodes.
13 episodes. Brian.
I didn't even know she was on Happy Days.
So Brian has no guesses. I'm guessing.
Even though Brian was on the Love Boat podcast where we talked about
Yep.
this before.
I'll say 12.
Brian, do you have a number for me?
I'm going to do 9.
Well, Dana got it with 12.
Exactly.
12
Awesome.
exactly. Yes.
Oh,
But yeah, she was. That was really
That's
just
sad.
really sad.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very sad.
I always get her confused as the one dying in Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
I always would always think of
there's a kid dying in Twilight Zone?
the actress that died.
Oh,
I always thought it was her that died in it.
But you don't even see the kids that died in
Yeah, you
Twilight
did-
Zone. You
they
don't
don't
even
really
see
have
them.
any
I don't know
names or
why.
movie.
I always thought, like growing up, I always thought that she was the one that died in Twilight Zone.
She
Even
died-
though
when
I would
she-
see her later
I was
in
gonna
movies.
say she died in the 90s. Like she died long after the Twilight Zone had already come out by then, right? Or no, it hasn't come out yet, but it was
Twilight
filming
Zone was
now.
coming out in 3 years.
But
or
it's
whatever. Yeah,
filmed.
she died in '88. Carol.
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
Heather O'Rourke.
Heather O'Rourke.
Yeah.
She was
Carol
a-
Ann. Mommy. Craig T. Nelson. Poor man's Kevin Costner, what I like to call him. He played Steve Freeling.
Wow, I don't get that vibe off him at all.
He just seemed like that look.
Huh.
Just like you can get him cheaper. He would be cheaper than Kevin Costner.
Yeah. You know what? I'd rather have Craig T. Nelson.
Oh, I would too. But I'm just saying you can get him on the cheap.
Okay.
Kevin
All right.
Costner would cost you more. I'll take Craig T. Nelson over Kevin Costner.
Craig T. Nelson probably will work better for you. Costner's going to be a pain in the ass.
Craig T. Nelson seems like he'd be more fun. I agree. Yeah. Any stab at his top 4?
Coach.
Yes. How many episodes of Coach was Craig T. Nelson in?
All of them.
He was. he is in all of them. That is correct. I have that here, but there's a number as
Ooh,
well.
I don't know. How many seasons? 84.
84.
I'm gonna
Brian.
do
No, I don't know.
160.
Yeah, I mean, that was on forever. I'm
Was
going to say
it?
that was
I
like
don't
10
remember.
years,
Oh, wow.
240 episodes.
The answer is 199 episodes.
Wow.
Yes.
They couldn't get to 200.
And so yeah, his top 4 was Coach.
Debit. The Incredibles?
I wanted to tell you Poltergeist was in it as well. That
Okay.
was the other one. But The Incredibles is in it, yes.
Okay. And not Incredibles 2. That can't be.
No,
in there.
that's not in it. The Family Stone.
Oh my God. Every
That's a
one of
good
these
movie.
guys have an extra.
I like
really?
that
I've
movie.
never even heard of
It's
that.
a rom-com.
I actually remember the family.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't
Was
know.
it Sarah Jessica
These
Parker?
two.
I think
these
so.
two-
Yeah. Listen,
Guys sharing a
Diane
brain
Keaton-
over
You might put on a separate
I think-
side podcast. These two,
Yeah,
right?
we can. Totally. This is fun. I like hearing my own voice.
Jason does now too.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Hey Jason, you sound great. Beatrice Straight. She played Dr. Lesh.
Oh, yeah.
She died in 2001 at age 86 from pneumonia.
She looks like a person that's been in stuff, but I didn't bother even.
She had a lot of older movies,
Yeah.
like The Nun Story being one of them.
Nun Story.
The Dane Curse, Poltergeist, and Network was the other one.
Oh,
that
she
you
was in
may have
Network.
heard of,
Okay,
yeah.
I've seen Network. I'm in as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Playing Dominique Dunn.
She was Dominique.
She was.
Dunn.
Dominique Dunn. She played Dana
Dana.
Freeling. Excuse me. She also died that same year, though, November 4th, 1982.
She didn't die.
She was murdered.
Murdered. Yeah.
Both her and Heather O'Rourke are buried in the same cemetery.
Get the hell out of here! Really,
I had
I had
that
no
as my note,
idea.
too.
Wow,
Westwood Memorial Park in Los
Darn.
Angeles.
you
Dunn,
got to dig deep if you want to beat Jason.
I know.
Dominique Dunn was strangled by her ex-boyfriend in the driveway of her West Hollywood home. She died at the age of 22, having never regained consciousness after the...
What did she do to piss him off that much that he strangled her
She
to
wouldn't
death?
get back together with him, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, she
what I
should have
read.
gotten back together with him. She'd probably still be alive.
But man, yeah, that's just...
She was supposed to be Robin in V.
Oh,
She
that's
was
right.
she was cast. They were already filming. And they had to go back and
they had to recast
They had
it,
to
yeah.
change her.
Wow.
And Ray,
That's horrible.
I don't know if you have Ray written down in your credits here. He was the paranormal guy, the black guy that stayed.
Yeah.
Marty, the white guy, he's not coming back.
I don't have him in
Ray was also in V. He was in the original miniseries.
Oh.
He's Elias's brother, and he dies very early in it. You follow Elias, but Ben is one of the main characters in the first couple episodes.
Are we going
of
to
V.
possibly do that
What?
a V rewatch?
I'd
We
love to
talked
do a
about
V
doing that
rewatch.
as like a side, like
Right after a Deadwood rewatch.
Oh my God! I watched season 1.
I know I fell off.
You
on
guys
it.
all stop.
That was my fault.
I just didn't like it.
I got through like the first 4 episodes. I fell off. That's my fault.
Such a
I know.
good show.
I enjoy it. I'm not. It's not that I didn't. I just started watching other things.
I understand. I fall off
Yeah.
stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I know. Me too. I fell down my steps just the other day. My hands all banged up from that. Still,
Is the hole still there?
you should see the hole that I made.
I do want to see the hole.
Dominique Dunn. Did you want to try any of her?
Oh, I don't even know. I couldn't
Yeah.
even didn't even know
Well,
she did anything else.
Poltergeist. She had Heart to Heart, Breaking Away, and Hill Street Blues. That was her.
Breaking Away, the biker bike movie
That bike movie. Yep.
with Sean Cassidy.
I want to say yes.
I don't know, man. It's been
No.
so
Or
long.
maybe Robbie Benson.
Maybe that sounds like the right answer. Robbie Benson.
What was it called?
Breaking Away. It was like a biking movie, not
This is great if
biker,
he's pulling up
biking.
stuff quick. Look at him.
A TV show.
It was a TV movie.
Oh wait,
I think.
there was a Breaking Away. There might if it's something else, but I thought it was Breaking Away the movie. Maybe she wasn't Breaking Away.
Because Sean Cassidy was in the series.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Oh wow, I want to see this
Jackie
now.
Earle Haley, yeah.
Vincent Gardenia.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. If only Brian could see his screen and talk at the same time. He's got to move his head back and forth as he's looked.
Today, though, I didn't even need my, certain days, I don't need my glasses. I put them on and I'm like, everything's blurry and I know I can take them off. And that was today.
You're like Peter Parker when he first gets his spider powers and he doesn't need his glasses anymore.
But tomorrow, I guarantee you, I'll be putting them on.
Playing Little Robbie Freeling was Oliver Robbins. And you want to take a stab at his top 4? I gave one of his
Poltergeist and
movies
Airplane
Second
2,
one.
and that's it, right?
Airplane 2, the sequel. Poltergeist.
was in part
Poltergeist 2. And
Was he in part 2? Yeah.
Here,
Okay.
here you go. 29,000 Wishes, One Regret.
That's the name of a movie or a show or something? 29,000 wishes. and one-
29,000 Wishes, comma, One Regret.
You know, if I'm the producer on that show, I'm whittling that down to 1,000 wishes.
I'm making it 28,999.
29,000 wishes. There's got to be some significance to that number. But you
I don't know
still
if it was
shorten
a
that
TV
title
show
down.
or if it was, I don't know if it was a movie or a
That's
TV
a
show.
dumb
but
title. I hate it. I'll never watch that.
Playing Tangina was Zelda Rubinstein. She died in 2010, age 76, from complications from a heart attack.
Those are complicated, those heart attacks.
How about her top 4?
I'd say all the Poltergeist.
Was she in all three? Was she?
I got Poltergeist, Poltergeist 2, The Other Side, and Poltergeist 3. And her fourth,
Teen Witch.
I have Teen Witch written down. It's not. I also had
Good movie.
16 Candles because she was in 16
Was
Candles.
she?
as
What?
well.
Where was she in
She was
that?
in 16 Candles?
Yeah. It was under IMDb. I didn't look up exactly where.
We'll get to 16 Candles eventually.
The
but-
Other Side. Or we
No, wait, wasn't someone else
Poltergeist to the Other Side,
Oh,
and then
oh.
Southland Tales was
Southland
fourth-
Tales.
which I think was a TV show.
Is that a Chicago show?
I think that was one of those TV shows.
South Side of Chicago? Every one of these people has one of these I've never seen it shows.
Playing Mr. Teague was James Karen. He died in 2018, age 94, from
Wow.
cardiac arrest.
I would have thought he died in the 90s.
He was
old
on
man.
Gilbert's podcast.
Yes, he was.
James Karen
Yes, he
on
was.
Gilbert's
Wait,
podcast.
was he?
And his top
boss?
4
The
was
boss.
his top 4. Can you give me any of his top 4?
I definitely remember him on TV in the 80s, but I think it was a commercial, like a Purdue chicken commercial or something like that.
He was also the spokesperson for Pathmark.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe that's
I
what I'm
read
thinking
that,
of. Maybe he was
Spokesperson for
picking up chicken
Pathmark.
and saying come to Pathmark and buy chicken.
He's known for
But I knew
Poltergeist.
when I
but,
saw this movie in the theater, I remember seeing him and being like, oh, he's the guy from that commercial. It probably was the Pathmark
The Return of the Living Dead,
Oh, okay.
Mulholland Drive, and The Pursuit of Happiness are his top 4. I remember him from a special The Jeffersons episode. It was called Sorry, Wrong Meeting, season 7, episode 6.
Very special. Was it the Klan involved or something like that?
George attends a meeting that he wrongly assumes is dealing with crime in the building. It turns out to be an attempt to recruit members of the Ku Klux Klan. It was a really, really good episode. And he had trouble getting work for a little while.
Because they thought he was a
Because
member
they
of
thought
the
he was a
Klan?
real member of the Klan from being on that episode of.
People are so stupid.
Yeah.
How funny is that? I can't believe that's true, but it probably is.
Yeah, but that's James Karen.
I mean, you wear a MAGA hat.
that's
now,
all
you
I
get
had of the
canceled.
cast. I didn't know if there was anybody else you
I
wanted to
got
talk
one-
of the
one
cast.
more.
Yeah, go ahead.
That Brady was thrilled to see. Dirk Blocker from what's the Andy Samberg show?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So he was like Hitchcock. I think that was his character.
Dude, there were like 7 people in this
Yeah,
movie. You got to
there's
do
not a lot of
better than
people.
that, man. Besides the family, there were like
the neighbor.
Oh, this is the
the neighbor. Yeah.
no. This was a guy the very beginning of the movie on the bike.
Oh, yeah.
Dirk
Oh,
Blocker.
The
carrying the
guy
beer.
carrying the case of beer.
Yes.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah,
And he's like,
and he does not
like
get.
Brady's
How mad?
favorite character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
How mad would you be if that's your house? Him coming in with those beers. Like
I
that?
know.
Like, first of all,
Spurting
he only picked up
everywhere.
like 2
of them.
sixes
There was a lot
and they're
on the floor.
spurting all over
Oh,
the place.
yeah.
And you got to do better than that. You got to like throw the ones that are
He's
broken
a
down.
good actor. He's one of those guys that you see in a lot of things.
The
though.
neighbor,
Yep,
Ben,
That's
is
him. Yep.
okay. The neighbor is also one of those guys. I looked him up. I'm like, I've seen this guy before.
Ben?
He's
Ben,
like, he probably has 1,000 IMDb credits because everything was. I'm like, oh, one episode of this. He was in Golden Girls. He was in MASH. He was in he was in everything. I was like, okay, yeah, he's one of those guys.
You seen him in 2 episodes of Heart to Heart. He was in 2 episodes.
I didn't see him in
Kate
any
Alley.
episodes of Heart to Heart.
He was 2 episodes of you know what I mean.
But he was he was definitely in MASH. He was all over the place in the 70s and 80s. And I think
you know
he's
who
still
his
alive.
father is, right?
Which guy are we talking about?
Dirk Blocker.
Are you talking about the guy on the bike?
Yeah.
His real life father?
It's real life.
I know Brian checked out. He wasn't even listening to us talk.
Oh,
He was all
I knew
wrapped
this,
up in this
I
other
knew
guy.
this from a podcast, actually, that I watched. But
one of our podcasts?
No.
Oh, a good one that you listened to. Oh.
His father is Dan Blocker. And his
You're not going to tell me like one of these guys is named Cock Blocker, are you?
Eric Haas Cartwright.
Cartwright.
He was Haas?
Bonanza?
I hate
From
that
Bonanza.
show. You have no idea.
I've never watched
How
an
much I
episode.
hate
That's a
Bonanza.
cool connection, though.
I've never watched a Bonanza episode ever.
And do you know how many episodes of Bonanza he was on?
A
I
lot,
got
700.
sure.
I got this.
Yeah.
483.
700.
No.
510.
Say a number.
415.
Wow.
How many episodes of Bonanza were there?
It was on for 1,000 years.
That is so stupid. I remember
It's still on.
I remember when the Simpsons was breaking records, longest scripted show or whatever, and it was every time it was like breaking Bonanza records. I'm like, how long is that stupid show on? Couldn't we have sent the guy to space like 10 years earlier and it would have canceled all those fucking terrible westerns? Now I'm a big fan of westerns, but not when I was a kid. Like turning on the TV and seeing a western, I'm like, click, right clicking that shit off. But now if I see it, I'm like, if I saw a western now, I'd be like, ooh, which one's this?
Yeah, you
Maybe I
stop
want to
now,
watch this.
Sometimes he'd watch him in Spanish.
Well, I'm never doing that.
That's a little strange.
Yeah.
With subtitles or not?
No.
Just-
my mom told me like towards the end, my mom was like, yeah, he's watching his Westerns, but they're in Spanish.
Okay.
The
podcast I listened to, it was called Bonanas for Bonanza. And
Did they do every episode of Bonanza?
That was the hook was that they were planning to doing every episode of Bonanza, but it was Andy Daly, and he played this character who was a part-time monster hunter, full-time fan of Bonanza, and it was just ridiculous.
Is it still going on?
Understand what you're
Like,
talking
he would-
about?
he
Like,
would kill
are you
monsters,
saying the
and
guy
that's-
on the podcast was a character?
Yes.
Is it still going on or is it done?
It might be. I have to check, but it was like he would describe running into a certain type of monster and he killed it and whatever. And like there's the people on the show would be like, he says, I think you just murdered someone.
Dude, what fucking life are you living, man? What is going on in your brain?
You got to look it up. Bonanza.
No, I won't. I'm not even going to say.
Bananas for Bonanza.
Did you have anybody else from the cast that you wanted
The
to
only
talk
one,
about,
the other
or-
one was the one paranormal guy that I knew from V. That's it. Dr. Ben from V.
All right, well, let's open it up.
'Cause there was nobody else.
The actual,
No,
get
it
right
really
into the
wasn't.
movie.
Actually, you know, it's funny. I say there's nobody else, but
Those creepy pool guys?
Bluto and somebody else. It wasn't those guys. When Steven's showing the one house to the couple, the one woman, I was like, as soon as she started talking, I'm like, oh my God, I know who this is. And I looked her up and it wasn't the same woman. I thought
Who
she
did
was.
you think she was?
I thought, did you ever Liar Liar, Jim Carrey, the lawyer
Saw it
one?
once,
I thought it was his secretary. She sounded just like his secretary. And I looked it up and it was not the same person. I'm like, I really wanted to pull that one out and it didn't happen. And I looked up the woman who actually it was, and she like did nothing. It wasn't as fun.
What did you think of that tree? That tree was pretty scary.
That tree
For
scared
a
me
tree,
as a
right?
child.
Me too.
I'm not sure I understand how to build a development where you level an entire cemetery and leave one craggly old
One
tree
dead
there
tree.
so
Yeah.
that protects your family. Why would you leave that fucking
Yeah.
tree? Why would you move the headstones and not
leave
the
that
bodies
tree.
and leave the tree?
Ah,
That made
That's
no
a very,
sense
it's
to
a very
me.
interesting question.
And that tree was not alive.
No.
Because it's California.
dead.
Trees don't lose their leaves in California.
Yeah.
So it had to have been. And by the way, that was the exact same house they filmed E.T. in.
I was
right?
just going to say
Because
that was the neighborhood that we all wanted to live in as
Yeah.
kids.
that looked like the exact. And
They
Michelle,
said it was 20 miles away from each other.
did they really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when Michelle sat down and was watching, I'm like, I think this is the same E.T. house. She's like, no, that one had like the
Those
mountains behind it. I'm like, but it also had the cornfield behind it because E.T. came out of the cornfield and then there were mountains
How
behind it.
awesome are those neighborhoods? Just when you watch those movies, as a kid,
especially the
you
aerial
always
shot.
wanted to be that. I always dreamt that was me.
That was awesome. And that bay window that he would have had in Phase 5 would have been awesome. Looking down over that.
Would have been a great, beautiful view that would have been.
And I guess they don't build basements in California because all those slabs down there were like concrete slab foundations. I was like, no basement?
It's like Florida.
Where are you gonna do a podcast?
Yeah, we need that.
I wouldn't live in a house that didn't have a basement. The first scene of the movie is
with the bike.
No, before that, Steven falling asleep in front of the TV with the beer falling out of his hand, and I was like, when I was 12. I didn't realize I was looking at future Andy. Like it was as if like as I'm watching that, I'm like,
happened to you?
I'm sure when I was 12, I looked at this and be like, look at this fucking disaster. But I'm like, that happens nightly.
Has that happened to you where you've
I'm sure it doesn't really happen, but it could possibly happen.
It's come close, let's say, right?
Now I'll just drag my craggly ass upstairs and pass out in bed. It's so funny looking at a house with like the TV is
on the floor.
It's those old ass TVs,
the cabinet TVs.
I looked at the parental guide again, and I got some uses for profanity. We had 2 uses of the word hell, 7 uses of profanity, 7 uses of the word shit, 3 uses of son of a bitch, and 1 use of bastard. So that was pretty much the.
I can quote the one use of son of a bitch and bastard.
Would you like to go ahead?
Well. Oh man, I wish my sister was here for this right now because
you would do back and forth.
No, but just this weekend we were with my sister and my parents, and we had our dog, the little puppy dog,
the new addition to the family.
You know, right. She's the Chucky replacement, Lily, and
she hasn't been on yet.
She has not been on yet. I don't want her down here; she'll chew something. But my sister has a big dog. And Lily was just like pestering, and every once in a while. Sadie, my sister's dog, would like turn and like, and my sister would be like, she's just a baby. And when Jo Beth Williams said, you bastard, she's just a baby. I was like, I filmed that and sent it to my sister. She was like, that was what I was quoting the whole time. She's just a baby. And
that's so
Craig
funny.
T. Nelson, the end. His fucking scream.
Yes.
Like that is an all-time great.
Yeah.
You left the bodies, but you took the headstones, didn't you? You only took the headstones.
Why would you do that?
Why? But he starts that off with son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. So yeah, that's my one son of a bitch and bastard. I didn't pick up on any other language in this, but oh my God, his freak out at the end. And the Pathmark guy, his eyes are gigantic. That was so good. Those are the kind of scenes where I see him like Steven Spielberg filmed this.
That's
iconic. He had to have been. Spielberg knew where to aim that camera.
I think Spielberg was there.
Well, he said he was on the set.
I was saying he was there, but I think Toby Hooper was still part of it. I think, but Spielberg had his hand in it. Mm-hmm. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Hold on.
I have.
You guys have a lot of notes.
I have beer bike. I have beer bike guy. The football game that the guys are watching, the Saints against the Rams, was obviously every time they showed it was a replay because it was in slow motion and they're screaming at it like it's happening live. Because the first play you see is the quarterback throwing an interception, and when it happens, they're all like, "No way!" But it was going so slow. I was like, "Well, it was you know it happened because it happened 10 seconds ago, and you're just watching the replay." And the one guy's wearing a Joe Namath shirt, and so fuck him for wearing a Joe Namath shirt. And I love the guy that has no idea who Mr. Rogers is. But who's this guy? Every time the clicker thing happened, he's like, who's this guy? I'm like,
he said
1982. Everybody knew who Mr. Rogers was.
Like, my kids want to watch this. He was like, boom.
That was great. The remote battle. Click.
And he did like 5 times, like as he was falling back into the house.
I always wondered if that was really a thing.
Did you know
where the remotes would like interact with each other and stuff like that?
Oh, if it was the same
because
model
I remember back in the old days trying to program a remote. Oh my God, that took forever.
And it was. I can tell you, it's not.
It was so. Yeah, I guess you could tell us that.
It's infrared,
and it's specific to a model and stuff like that. And I mean, I guess if it was the same TV model, maybe it would work that way, but.
They would have to have
especially back then too. That's 40 years ago too. I mean,
the range was probably very limited.
Yeah.
But it was very. I get it. I guarantee you it happened to somebody that was on the writing staff because they're like, oh, hey, let's do a thing where the remotes fuck with the other TV.
Do you know what poltergeist means in German?
I do. Means loud ghost.
Or noisy ghost.
Noisy ghost.
Yeah,
Loud ghost. Okay.
Do you know German?
No, I just had looked this up the same place. Obviously, Jason did.
She's in my system.
Has there ever been a movie ever made where the title of the movie was something that nobody knew what it meant when they saw the name of it? Because I remember when I was 12 years old or 11 and this came out and it was Poltergeist, and we're like I'm looking at my parents, I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're like, I don't know, it's not a name that we know.
No.
Like, what other movie's ever done that? That's why it's Spielberg.
Yeah.
Because he had the confidence. Also, extraterrestrial. No one knew what the fuck that meant either, you know? So they shortened that to ET, but no one knew what a poltergeist was, so.
I know I didn't going into the theater.
Oh, is this one of the movies you've actually seen in the theater?
Yeah.
Oh, this is okay. So this
when I was 12.
I forgot to ask that earlier if you had seen this before
Yeah.
this week because
And it just haunted me for the rest of my life.
What part of it haunted you?
The tree.
The tree haunted
and
you,
that
huh?
Freaking
tree.
clown. That
Yeah,
damn
the clown.
Oh, the clown. Yeah. But
And
the,
closet doors have to be shut. If I have a closet door like that behind Andy, there's no way I'm sleeping with that.
There's
door
only
open.
one.
You'd rather have it closed?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I need the door open.
The closet door.
Oh, hell yes, it has to be
No,
open.
close it.
I'm living in a bedroom now that has closed doors because the dog will get into the closet or the bathroom, so all the doors are closed. And all I'm like, man, anything could be behind that door now.
Oh, I like closed.
No,
Yeah.
I need it open.
You?
closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing I read was that the skeletons in the pool were real human skeletons because they were cheaper.
Get the hell out of here. There's no way that's
There was
legal.
no resin skeletons back then. Yeah.
There's no way they could legally use human
And
skeletons.
that she didn't know that they
Yeah,
were
because I wouldn't
real
film the scene
skeletons
if you
either.
said they're real
Yeah.
skeletons. Oh, they're from the university down the street. We just
there's
we
only
cleaned them.
there's only one real body count death. Like the total death is there's only one real
Yep.
death.
I know what it is.
the bird.
That is
Tweety.
it. That's it.
Poor Tweety.
That's the only death, and it's still considered a horror movie and everything like that. So this was one of the first of its kind.
Well, I read that
be,
they
like-
wanted Carol Ann to die in the beginning,
Oh,
but then
come
because they
on.
wanted it to be more family friendly,
I saw that as
he
well.
changed it to keep her alive.
And how awesome is it when the tree thing happens and they suck Carol Ann into the closet and they're freaking out and they're looking every room and they see the clown. It's going to be the clown with the blanket on it, and you know Jo Beth is like
Laughing?
no,
She's relieved.
She's like it's my daughter under this thing, and she just rips the the blanket off. I'd be like, that is. You slowly do that.
Yeah.
When you think it's your dead 5-year-old underneath that blanket, you like kind of like you want to peek over it and look. She just rips it off, and there's the
Yeah.
stupid clown, and they do laugh. And I'm like, but that doesn't solve the problem. Your daughter's still missing.
And who the hell sold that clown? Like,
My
who
sister
thought
texted
it
me
was good clown?
because I know I've brought this up to you guys in the past where I had that clown.
I don't have a problem with clowns.
And,
I know a lot
uh,
of people
don't
are
like
scared
it.
of
when I
clowns.
texted my sister today the video of the she's just a baby part of the movie, she said, well, actually I texted her a picture of the cemetery when they get up there on the ridge and there's a Becky headstone right here.
Oh.
There's the Becky headstone when he's actually saying there's no room for a pool. That's the Becky headstone. So I sent that to her and she's like, I didn't remember that, but I do remember getting rid of those clowns as soon as we got home from the movies. I remember we saw that in the theater. I had a blue one. Becky had a pink one. We got home. We threw those fuckers right out. Those are terrible.
That was the worst. And one of the things about that is, and I've seen it a lot in horror movies when people go to look under the bed, but they look by leaning over the side of the bed all the way down.
No.
How can you do that? Who does
No, you
that?
jump off and you're
Yes.
like, you have to be in standing position. You have to be
Yes.
ready to move.
Yeah.
You can't be on the bed like that.
Robbie was the worst part of that movie. He was so over dramatic.
It is funny how
Oh my God, I couldn't stand Robbie.
he was the worst actor in
needed to
there.
get eaten, but I was glad
Carol
the
Ann
tree
was
took off.
actually a better actor.
Yeah.
What
He
about
was
when he got in the
horrible.
cab?
Oh my God. Just the whole thing in
What
his...
was what happened in the cab that stood out as
No, I'm just saying it was silly. Just
took the
getting
dog
in
in
the
the
cab.
cab, and
Yeah,
none
and
the
the dog.
parents didn't
yeah.
go with them.
And Jo Beth
can't go with
Williams
them?
was like,
Call me.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, it's just same thing, Robbie. Call me.
It didn't seem right.
Yeah, I hate that. No. And then when he realizes Carol Ann's on the TV and he's screeching, Carol Ann's I just want to punch him. Why couldn't it have been him?
I remember the scene where when he's screaming and the mom comes in, Jo Beth comes in.
His teeth?
Yeah,
I
the
know.
profile picture of her, like
His
it's the
teeth
weight
go
of
out.
the screen
Yeah.
behind him, and I was like, that kid needs braces.
Yes. Well, he gets them in the second one, and he gets attacked by his braces.
Oh yes, I do
Yeah.
remember that. I remember
He
him getting
does.
attacked by
and
the
they
braces.
come out and they start smiling around him.
What year's the sequel?
I don't know. 2 years later?
Ooh, do we get to do it?
If we're
But
all alive.
we'll do Poltergeist too.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what I'm
not
saying.
doing
I'm hoping it's
Poltergeist 3.
one of those ones that it's in the time frame where we.
Do you guys?
we're still doing it.
I'm just looking at my notes
if
here.
the
and
world's still here, you know.
Oh, my God.
I make it back.
Do you have any of the kids' rooms were obviously furnished by Lucasfilm?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a Darth Vader poster. There was a
There was
Yoda.
the Darth Vader,
The carrier
holds
case with the
carrying
figures.
case for
The
figures.
blankets.
I had
The
that.
blankets.
She's chewing
I had
on
that.
one at some
She was
point.
chewing on Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And
I used to have that
I
case.
had
I
that
used to have
Darth
the
Vader.
C-3PO one as well.
Oh.
I'm looking around. There's
Maybe
one
it's
of
behind
there's
us.
one of them down here somewhere. It might be behind
Yeah,
this big
because I had the
green screen.
C-3PO.
Oh, the C-3PO has that. Yeah.
I have the
has a
C-3PO
hat on,
carrier.
And
case.
R2D2 cases, yeah, and they opened up, and he had figures on both sides.
Oh,
Man, that
that's
was
cool.
He had a
so
bunch of
cool.
figures behind him. What did he
Yeah.
have behind him?
He had the guy on that little thing that
He
that
had
they cut open, right?
He had the Tauntaun with a regular Luke, not a Hoth Luke. Then he had a Hoth Han,
He had a
and he
little
had an
R2D2.
R2D2, and he had an FX7. Do you remember FX7?
Was that the little, the round head.
He was the one that was like
Yeah.
helping Luke when he was in the back to tank
Yes.
in Empire, like
Yes.
on Hoth when he was injured. He had an FX7.
That's a rare figure. And I wanted to know the name. Did you have to look
I
that
wrote
up?
it down because I didn't have to look at that. I
Yeah.
did not have to look that up, but I wrote it down because I was like, "Jason's going to ask what kind of figures did he have?"
I actually
behind?
saw them there, and I was like, and I was like,
But
I
there was
like, I didn't
so
feel like
much
doing it.
Star Wars stuff in that room, and then they had an Alien poster. That was
Alien
really
poster.
weird.
I do remember
Oh,
seeing the
really?
Alien poster
because that's
yeah.
an R-rated movie that came out in like the 70s, and the
And
fact
if
that
he's
those
watching
kids,
Alien, that kid should not have been
he
scared
should
of what
not have
happened
freaked
here.
out by
Yeah.
the
Because
tree.
Alien is a lot scarier than this movie.
That kid was afraid of everything.
And then he had a big game clue
I
game
saw
board
Clue was
behind him.
Oh,
him.
yeah,
It was sitting there for a while. I'm
I
like,
wanted
look
to
at
play.
Clue.
I was
There
like,
was a Rubik's Cube on there, too.
I really wanted
Was
to.
there a
Rubik's
Rubik's
Cube
That
was
makes
on the,
sense.
Yeah, that
bed-
same
Like
scene.
right behind his
yeah,
head or
yep,
something.
right on
Yeah.
the headstand.
Do you guys?
board there.
I'm going to pull this out. This is my one. I had to look it up.
Put
I
that
had-
away.
I had to look it up because I was like, what's the reasoning behind this? This is my one thing that I had to look it up because I was like, what? The dog's name?
E-Buzz.
Why?
I forget, but I looked it up, and I forget already.
Electric Buzz.
The dog's odd name comes from a Saturday Night Live skit in which Dan Aykroyd played an art critic named E. Buzz Miller. Aykroyd co-starred in a produced screenplay Steven Spielberg movie 1941 the year before.
Yeah.
So they named the dog E-Buzz after the Dan Aykroyd character from
That's
1941.
Wow.
Which
That I had no
gets
idea.
shit upon all the time. And 1941 is a great movie, and
That is
it's
one of those movies that
Belushi
gets
and Dan
a lot
Aykroyd
of
and
hate.
Spielberg, and people
Lot of
are
hate
just
for
like
that movie,
terrible
yeah.
movie. Watch it; it's a good movie. You'll like it. Well, you might not because it's 40 something years old,
Yeah.
but it was good then.
I had a problem with the creepers digging the pool and being so
Looking at the
vulgar
daughter.
to Dana.
Oh, my
And
God.
then the mom's watching through the window and she just like, oh.
Well, because she
Oh,
flips them
boys
off.
being
She does the
boys.
whole
She did the
arm
Macarena
thing,
flip
but she,
off.
Yeah,
she
she
also
did.
didn't give him the finger. She gave him like
She
a
gave
like
him
a.
like
Like this.
But she did that, and then she gave like the pointer
Yeah,
finger or
she did
something. I
something
was like,
weird,
"What's
yeah.
that?"
And then the mom was like, yeah.
And then-
That's
and then-
my girl. That's my
Like,
girl.
she's in a school uniform. She's obviously a child, and they're like, "Hey, baby."
Isn't she
She's
supposed to be
oh
like
my
15 or
God.
16?
Probably a high
That's
school student.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
And then
was
Bluto
disgusting.
was eating through the window
Yeah.
the coffee and
he put
eating
it
the
in her
sauce.
Oh my God.
He's like, it was delicious. Get the hell out of here.
And
man.
the night before, when they were smoking their weed in the bed and stuff like that, and they were talking about the pool when
Oh, she was talking
Steven
about sheet.
when Steven was checking himself out in the mirror doing the before
Yeah.
after thing, which is awesome. She's like, wouldn't it be better if we just moved the pool closer to the house and the kids could jump off the roof?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, holy shit. I'm like, what kind of mother is this? Because I actually had a friend, Ron, that had a pool that was close enough for us to jump off the roof into his pool, and it was fucking dangerous. Because if you have a roof, it's higher than a diving board.
This is
So
the
dangerous.
This is the film that Drew Barrymore auditioned for. but she didn't get this role, obviously, but this is where they found her, and that's how they got her for E.T.
Wait, so she auditioned for this?
She auditioned for this role.
But they liked her enough to give her ET instead.
To give her ET, but she wasn't right for this role, but she was right for the ET role.
Was she too old for this? I'm just thinking, like, how old was Drew Barrymore in ET? Like,
Drew Barrymore's like 6, right?
And Heather O'Rourke's like 5, so it's about the same, right?
Yeah, so it's about the right age. I think they said they wanted somebody more angelic.
I wonder if, Drew Barrymore's on screen more in E.T. She's a character, and maybe they knew she could act better. They could
ad-libbed
work with her.
E.T. as well.
Heather O'Rourke just had
some of those scenes we learned that she had ad-libbed her.
During doing E.T. Yeah. There are scenes watching this and knowing that that's a child actor. It's fun to watch and just think, like, how are they directing this girl?
Yeah,
like where she's just like covered in Jello in the tub.
Yeah, right?
and she just looks up. She's like, "Hey, Daddy!" Like, how do you direct that? How do you cover this girl in Jello?
Also, there's something about knowing her tragic life.
Wow,
yeah,
that does put a stamp on it after the fact.
For some reason, it makes it. I think that makes it a little more sad for some.
It's certainly sad. You know, I mean, how old was she? 12.
Yeah,
that's very sad.
It's funny.
We can't add that to the summer of abortion, right? That's a 36 month.
It didn't happen. We didn't have an abortion for this movie. No.
36 trimester abortion. I don't mean to make fun of the girl that died. That sucks.
No,
I take it back. Cut.
We're teasing because we care about her.
Brian, what do you think about this movie, man? You haven't said a goddamn thing, man.
Yeah, what's up with you, man?
I love this movie.
Okay.
Thank you for finally.
You got anything else besides that? What do your mental notes tell you about this movie, man?
It scared the hell out of me when I was 12.
What about at 52?
It didn't scare me as much.
This is not a scary movie in 2022, but the clown scene was scary-ish.
Like I said, clowns never did anything for me. So
what about a haunted clown that comes up behind you and tries to strangle you?
That's what I'm saying. Clowns never scared me like that.
I hate clowns.
Yeah, I think I've watched it at least once a year since I was
really.
A kid. I watch it all the time. It is my absolute favorite scary movie. I love it. I could probably just recite it as it's happening. But this is the first time I ever watched it critically because I knew we were coming on here.
Oh my God.
So there were so many things where I'm like,
share some of them.
Well, I never liked the part where the guy goes, who goes in someone's house and takes out their steak and is going to cook it?
Well, I put
like, who does that? And that was gross. That scene, I never liked it.
Eating Cheetos and then a chicken leg, and he was getting ready to make a steak.
Yeah,
I'm like, he deserves to rip his face apart.
That was their
because I'm like,
dinner.
what are you doing, man?
I love the old school bag.
He was eating a bag. He was eating a bag of Cheetos, and then says the other guy, "I'm gonna go get something to eat." I'm like, you were just eating something.
I'm eating now. I'm done eating now, but I'm gonna go eat again.
Much earlier in the movie, and I know I have it in my notes. I haven't looked at it recently, but what was this? When they went next door to the family,
they cut a scene.
But like with the mosquitoes, he's like they're getting like, and it was like, what is the purpose of this scene? Like, I get like you want to go next door and be like, is anything weird happening here? But with my kid's never been bit by a mosquito. Hey, Junior, get over here. You ever been bit by a mosquito? He's like, I don't know, Dad. He's like, he ain't never been bit by a mosquito. I'm like,
it was a weird interaction
happening here?
And they were cracking up the whole time. They were laughing.
right?
Out of place scene.
But the thing is, so before that, when they were in the kitchen and they were testing with the thing, and they were talking about, great. Caroline, we'll go to Pizza Hut, whatever. Well, apparently a cut scene, because mid-sentence, they are all of a sudden a different scene. Mid-word, it just stops because apparently they said something negative about Pizza Hut. And they decided they needed to cut that out. Yeah. So then all of a sudden they're mid-sentence at Ben's house knocking on the door. So I don't know if something happened.
That did seem like a strange cut.
Yeah.
Screw you,
There was some
Screw you, Pizza Hut.
But this was one of those movies that you could
TikTok.
You could feel the editing in it, but it worked. Like the scene where Steven goes into the bed with Robbie and he's doing the countdown with the lightning and stuff like that. And as he's walking out, the kid counts lightning and it's one more
further away.
And he's like, it's all good. And then lightning strikes the tree and then just cuts to everybody in the same bed. Like they skipped the whole scene where the kids freaked out. They're like, we're not sleeping in here anymore.
Yeah, you just automatically assume that happened.
Yes, that was a good edit where it was just like, we don't need to show the next 20 minutes of the kids freaking out and going in there.
And that was a perfect edit.
Being the father of two pussified children, That happened a lot. I know. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of, you're too old to be sleeping with your parents, but yeah, get in here. I think Logan slept at the base of our bed last night.
Jesus. He was scared.
It originally got an R rating. They fought to get it down to a PG.
Did they cut something to get it down?
PG-13 hadn't come out yet.
Yeah,
What year was that?
85, I think. Red
What was the
Dawn.
movie? Red Dawn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Red Dawn.
What? That was the first
PG-13,
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
You don't know that? Like that?
No,
What was the first movie on MTV? First
Movie?
video
Well,
on
that
MTV.
I know. It's the Buggles. Bugles. Video
Buggles.
kills the radio.
Okay. It's just one of those things you have to know.
No, I did not know.
Red Dawn.
I think I might have heard that before from you,
Probably.
probably. And I
I
forgot.
saw
Useless
Red
information.
Dawn in West Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
Yeah.
In the theater?
In a theater, we were going to Kentucky.
How old were you?
The year
Oh,
it came out?
85. So 15. So you were
15,
old enough to see that in the
We were
theater.
staying at a Red Roof Inn, and there was a movie theater across the way showing Red Dawn, and so all the kids went over and
How do you
watched
show
it.
ID for 13? PG-13. Like,
You didn't
your
have
ID.
to. It was just you didn't have to show
You had to
ID.
just
It was
look
just
13.
like
You had to look
as a
13.
parent, you should know that your kid probably shouldn't be seeing this. But
Well, it was West Virginia. I just had to put my arm around my sister.
these two are married. And they probably
must be
They probably
13.
have 4 children by now.
They must be 13.
God damn! I can't wait to do Red Dawn. We could have another 2-hour Red Dawn movie or Red Dawn podcast.
Yeah, I did like that movie as a kid, and
was a
it
great
definitely made me fearful that Russians were going to come and take us over.
Guess what? It might happen
I
now.
know. Jesus.
Some things never change.
I have a list here of all
This
the,
decade feels like the 80s all over again. The Russians are coming. And
Here's a list of everything Star Wars in the room. If you want me to run through that, I could read that off real quick. Anything that Andy might have missed here. Among them are C-3PO, light switch plate, three posters of Star Wars,
Darth Vader.
and then a C-3PO with R2-D2. Empire Strikes Back blanket on Robbie's bed, a TIE fighter near the window.
Well, that thing was flipping into the broken TIE fighter was flipping into the closet when the monster was taking Carol Ann.
The gun turret and Probot playset from the Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my God, I had that. That was like one of the.
A jacket with Chewbacca.
You never feel the same as
back.
when you get your Hoth playset with Probot.
That's the jacket that he throws has Chewbacca on it. The Tauntaun figure that you mentioned, it's Han in this Hoth gear. Large Yoda figure, a Darth Vader action figure carrying case, several action figures, including a Stormtrooper, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, R2-D2, and
No FX7.
Talk about product placement.
It did feel like Lucasfilm paid the, and this is a child in 1982. How old's Robbie? 9.
Yeah.
He would have a ton of Star Wars
Yeah.
shit in his room.
Of course.
Because as a 12-year-old in 1982, I had a ton of Star Wars shit in my room. When Steven first goes to the paranormal people and they're asking for ages, Jo Beth Williams, he says, is 32, and his oldest daughter is 16.
Yeah.
I was like, was she 15?
Christine
or
did
possibly,
that math
or
right
16
away.
possibly
Yeah, me
when she
too.
got pregnant. I was like, was she like a
Yes.
sophomore in high school?
Even as a teen, younger kid, whatever, I thought, oh, it's really young. But I did read that the source material, that was her stepdaughter. That
What?
was his daughter, not hers.
What source
Really?
material you're talking
It
about? And
came
where's
from-
that?
Yeah.
Where's that ever
I don't know, but
established in
there
this
was
movie?
I don't know. I read it on
That would have been
IMDb.
actually a nice
Interesting.
kind of like, because she definitely cares about her babies.
Yes.
Get your hands off my babies.
There's a big
but-
age difference between Dana and Robbie too. There's like 8 years. She's 16.
Yeah,
He's like
now that
8.
you say it,
9.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. That's very
Wow.
nice. I did not know that.
They should have probably. They could have done one line to establish that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hurt.
No, yeah,
My
they totally glossed over
My
it.
stepmother doesn't give a shit if they stay out all night.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Yeah.
when she said like she knows exactly where the Holiday Inn on I-74
Uh-huh.
is, she's like, I know where that is. She's like, what? That was great. And then she comes back with all her hickeys on her neck.
Yeah, right.
I remember my
and then
mom-
Robbie's like, drive away.
Yeah.
Just leave her. Drive away.
Fuck her. I don't care. I want to get out of here. I remember when I was in the theater watching this, my mom was like, did you see all the hickeys on her neck? I'm like, oh, what's that?
It was the 8th highest grossing film of 82.
Get that. 8th. E.T. was number 1, but Poltergeist wasn't number 2?
Poltergeist was a major
Gandhi was 82 also.
commercial success, becoming the 8th highest grossing film of 1982.
I think they also re-released it, I read, in closer to Halloween time. They put it back in the theater.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because of June. Yeah, because.
But I wonder if back then they even had to re-release it. Was it just still in the theater? Because nothing was on videotape back then. Yeah. 82, that was probably pre-video.
Yeah.
I wonder what I can't imagine what was higher than this, except for E.T. What else did we do this year? Gandhi.
Well, you might not have done any romantic movies or dramas, right?
Well, yeah, Gandhi, Sophie's Choice. We're not doing those because those aren't fun to talk about.
Our top 10.
Okay, here we go.
You want me to go 1 through 10 or 10 through 1?
10 through 1.
10, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
We did that.
9, Poltergeist.
We did that.
8, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Didn't you just say this was? I thought you said Poltergeist was 8. Go on.
Yeah, I think it did.
Go on.
That's all good here. I went and got it out here. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Wrath of Khan, we did that.
Arthur, 7.
Arthur? Wait a minute.
We have that towards the end of the year.
Did we? Are we doing Arthur still? It's like, why didn't we do Arthur?
It was released in 81 and it went through 82. That's what happened.
Is that what happened?
We missed out on
okay. We missed it.
Yeah. Porky, 6.
We did that.
Officer and a Gentleman, 5.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, I didn't think
that's
too
serious.
On Golden Pond, 4.
We're definitely not doing that.
Rocky, 3.
We did that.
3. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 2.
You guys aren't doing that?
It had to have been a re-release or something like that.
And number 1 was E.T.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Maybe
2 years. 2 years after they came out was, or 1 year. It came
box office for 1982.
It came out in 81, but they must have just left that in the theater for a whole year.
Maybe it was a Christmas release or something.
Maybe. We should have done Raiders. But back to Poltergeist.
But yeah, it was an interesting.
When the I don't remember this either. I was convinced this was an Indian burial ground thing. The Wizard of Oz style tornado that ripped through their house. I'm like, I did not remember. I'm like, look at that thing when it was coming at him, and then when it left, and she's like, it was a twister. It was a tornado, and it just missed us. I'm like, what?
That's why I always wonder, why didn't they call the police? Because to say that the tornado.
Well, you hear Steven the next morning talking about the earthquake. You hear
because they talk about the fault line.
That's the day before. That's the day before when Carol Ann's still with him. But like he's talking to a guy about the earthquake, and no one else is. He's like, it was a 6.5 earthquake, and no one else knows about it. I'm like, if you live in California, you just know by the feel that how much of an earthquake you're experiencing.
I mean, is California known for their tornadoes?
Because, no, I don't think they're.
That was very out of place.
They are known for their earthquakes, but
that tornado took up the tree, and they were standing like 15 feet from the tree, and were unaffected.
He was in the middle of it.
It was,
he was. I thought it was going to come down on him.
No, I mean he was. It was right over.
Yeah,
and him and Robbie were just sitting there.
And it was definitely in the era before computer graphics because it was just some guy with a black pen.
Oh man, that was bad. Yeah, that was just like, you got any charcoal?
You know what?
Just took some charcoal.
You know what? That was the only shitty special effects in this movie because everything else was great. Yeah. Everything else looked so good in this movie.
That I don't know what to call it. At the end, her closet had that
the jelly mouth.
The hole that was trying to suck her in has always just grossed me out. With
the big tongue.
Yeah, like, it was so disgusting. I don't know who decided that's what.
And this is the first time I ever noticed when they were all downstairs with the paranormal people and the lights start coming down. The lights come down the stairs and they're like, oh my God, play it back. And they rewind it. And it looks totally different. Like it was like kind of like a cloud. And you could, I never saw people before because the lady's like
18th century or 17th.
They look so lonely. I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And then I looked, I'm like, oh, there are faces in that cloud. I was like, I never saw that before.
They all seemed like, they would have been there for the gold rush type of people.
Becky died in 1903.
Yeah.
I noticed that headstone that they sent to my sister. So
and I'm guessing it was like 1800, early 1800s.
Yeah.
It wasn't 19 something. Yeah.
But I'm saying it was like,
Yeah.
But where did all those bodies come from?
I guess
in the cemetery. Like there was no
the local town. The town.
Yeah.
It was a giant cemetery.
Well, especially if they moved half of it already.
Yeah, it was already 30 years earlier.
But they only took the headstone, so it was an easy move.
You telling me you only moved the headstones? Why?
But one of the things I still to this day count between lightning and thunder. And I learned that on this movie. I don't know if it's true.
I definitely learned it.
But I absolutely count
it
between
makes
lightning
sense.
and thunder.
It makes sense that if it takes longer, the speed of light and the speed of the sound would be.
I mean, I've heard that in this movie, obviously, and I've heard it said before. Other people have done it. I'm not sure how
mile for every
how scientific it is.
That's
but
exactly what I was told.
It's probably close to it. Yeah.
We haven't talked about what's her name? The little girl?
Tangina.
Tangina.
Yeah.
No, it's Tangina. When she shows up and Craig T. Nelson's like, what side of the rainbow are we working on?
Last night was the first time when I watched that, I caught that.
Yeah, I never caught that before either.
Huge Wizard of Oz fan.
And there was the twister earlier. There's all sorts of Wizard of Oz stuff in this.
She was
no Toto
4'3".
though.
I think I saw she was 4'3".
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she was one of the first little people, although she doesn't seem like a little person to me.
She just seems like she's short, right?
Yeah, she's really short.
I didn't get her actual height. I don't know.
4'3".
I thought I saw
4'3" also.
4'3",
yeah.
Which is little people size. I think I saw something where they said anything under 4'6" and a half or something like that is a little person.
4'10" is legally
little person.
Don't say the word.
Little
Don't
person.
Say it.
No, I believe you can get a handicap plaque or if you're 4'10", I believe that is the term, the height.
You guys keep talking, but I have to pee.
I think Michelle.
So
I
bad.
think Michelle's sister can get a handicap plate. Then
She's my height.
She's like,
I think we're the same.
She's
height.
like 5 feet tall, but
yeah.
When you're standing next to a 6'3"
half the people
person.
we work with can get
Nancy
that. We're
definitely
short.
could get that.
Nancy
no way
tries
Nancy's
to
4'10".
claim that she's 5 foot.
No,
She has
no
said it
way
before.
in the world is what world is she 5 feet tall?
When she wears the heels, she used to. She doesn't do it much anymore. But remember, she used to wear heels that were like 5 inches tall, and she used to always try to say she was 5 foot. She is 4'10".
I don't think she's that tall.
Well, she's taller than Angela. I know, not Angela, Jennifer. She's taller
also
than Jennifer.
short.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not by much.
No.
Well, I guess tomorrow we're gonna have to or Monday we're gonna have to break out a
We're
tape
gonna have
measure
to see where she's standing, and then I'll just put my finger there, and then when she walks away, you can take out the tape measure.
a clandestine measuring contest.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hope she doesn't listen to this because she will be very
Nancy to
mad.
stand
Oh,
in
but
the
I wish
cubicle.
you was. Nancy, please listen.
Yes.
She'll be like, a podcast? What the hell is that?
It's funny because when I listen to this,
You
in
also
the morning,
think podcast?
well, no.
What the hell is this?
A lot of times I'm doing my hair in the morning. I'll put this on and I'll just play it on my phone out loud. And the office is right next. Tara's already working. She's like, why do I have to hear their voices every morning? I'm like, how do you think I feel?
Tara doesn't want to hear my voice?
No, she doesn't want to hear any of her voices.
Doesn't want to hear either of our voices.
She's like, why do I have to hear their voices?
Oh my God, I thought Tara would think my voice is soothing. Like it would bring us back in the day when we were working together.
No. And there's times where I'm like, I talked to Andy I talked to him about that. I'm like, no, I just heard it on their podcast. I didn't actually have this conversation with them. And I have to, and I'm like, wow, I listened to too much. Like I talked to them at lunch. I think I had this conversation. Nope. I listened to it on a podcast.
That's why we talk too much sometimes, but that's why we started doing the mini podcast before, because that gets the things.
We don't talk about all the current things we're thinking about. We want to just talk about the movie.
Into the movie, which now we're way off on the movie now.
Yeah, well, Brian took a break, so I figured.
Brian went to the restroom, but we could keep talking about the movie. We don't need Brian here because Brian wasn't going to add much to this anyway. He has a
I got to be honest. I've just scanned my notes and I got nothing else.
I was hoping you would hear that. That's so great.
I've talked about all the things I wanted to talk about. So
yeah,
I'm good.
I was going to ask, did you get all your notes?
Yes.
You said you had a lot. Brian,
everything's in.
Did you have any mental notes or other notes?
He's made no fucking comments yet.
I made a bunch of comments.
Name one.
I love
the tree. I was afraid of the tree.
You've made personal comments about yourself.
Twice now he said the tree.
Just keep producing this thing, man. I hope your plane doesn't go down next week, man. That would suck.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
What about
oh, my God. If it does, I'm betting on it.
And it's this week.
Can I bet on a plane going down? That would be fucked up, man.
Who would take that bet?
I don't know, but I'm going to find someone. Can I get your flight information?
I thought the one thing I thought was a little weird was when the three come from the institute, wherever they were, and they first open the door and the toys flying around was
Oh my
cool.
God, that was
but
awesome.
It was also kind of cheesy. Like the one horse stopped in front of them and like made the horsey noises and went up.
Wasn't the Hulk
Yeah.
riding the horse?
Oh, was it the Hulk?
That was
I think so. Yeah.
one of the best laughs of the movie because the guy's
Yeah.
talking about how he followed the Hot Wheel for like 7 hours
Oh,
and
yeah,
moved
yeah.
3 inches. And Craig T. Nelson just looks at him. He's like, And he opens the door and the whole room is whatever's going on in that room. Oh, yeah. And that's another thing about that room. There's a scene, Carol Ann's still missing. And is it Diane? Why can't I remember her name?
That's her name.
Jo Beth Williams.
Yeah.
She's upstairs doing laundry and she's just like comes walking out of her room with like laundry in her arms and she like tries to check the room and it yells at her and
Yeah.
she like starts crying. I'm like, you're just like going about your day doing laundry in your bedroom and there's a monster room
know.
right next door to you. And you're just like, I'm doing laundry today.
Somebody's got to do it. It's got to
Well,
get done.
she definitely made the point that she's not leaving until she gets Carol Ann, but I'm not going upstairs at all. We're all living downstairs now.
And also, they buried Tweety Bird.
And you saw
And
it get
then
digged up.
Dug
up.
right
Sorry,
where they're
yeah.
going to dig a pool.
And they had flowers there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And they
And
just
how
dug it
obvious
up.
was it when she was just standing there holding it, the side view?
Who flushes a bird? Come on.
And she was, by the time she flushed it and Caroline came in, I'm like, that flush is done flushing now.
Not only that,
you're just
you
dropping
flushed it first. Nobody does
You're
that.
just dropping it into a toilet that's not
Yeah.
flushing now.
It was so stupid. Nobody, even if you were flushing a fish down the toilet, you don't flush it first,
Yeah, you
then
flop it in
drop
there.
the fish. And nobody flushes a bird. I'm sorry.
That's a tiny bird.
That was a decent sized bird to be flushing.
Yeah.
That was another great edit where she's like, "Can I get a fish now?" And then you see her just like overfeeding this fish. That thing is gonna be dead by the morning, but it then got sucked into the.
I did read that she took those fish home in real life, that he let her keep those fish. That was sad.
That was her pay.
Yeah. she
I
got to
wonder.
keep the fish.
I wonder who lived longer,
Poor
the fish
girl.
or her.
I know. That's sad.
Does that suck?
She lived another 6 years after that.
Oh, then those goldfish are long dead. As a carnival person myself, I know those.
I once had a fish at a carnival. It lived a
things-
year.
Christine had a goldfish that lived in a bowl for years.
Years.
That's such a sad life.
Well, they forget everything after 12 seconds, so it's all new to them.
I
They're like,
guess.
"Oh,
Yeah, you're right.
what? Who? What?
Okay.
Oh, what?" We had a beta fish for years. Holy shit, we had a beta fish for years. So glit.
She had it at work for years. Couple years at work before
We
we
left
took
it
home.
on our windowsill in our kitchen, and I left the window open. And I walked down one morning, and it was floating sideways. I'm like, "Well, that thing's dead." And I just took it and put it over and closed the window and did it. It was floating around. It wasn't, but it was sideways. It had frozen. The water was so
Couldn't
cold.
move. Yeah.
Nothing can kill those things.
They live in mud. In China.
They're probably not used to living in
Oh,
a nice
really?
clean bowl.
Yeah. They like live in mud puddles.
Oh,
It's hard to kill them.
So a cold bowl in New Jersey is better.
Yeah.
Who would ever think that?
It's interesting.
Hey, do you got scores for this, man? Are we at the scores
I
part
believe
yet?
we're going to get to that part right about now.
Okay, I don't want to.
What did I miss while I was gone?
I just have to make sure that
We were
everybody
talking
got
about
all
your
their notes.
labia.
Oh.
Dana, did you have any other notes that you wanted to get in?
no, I think
or-
I got everything.
I'm good.
I got everything I needed to get in. Did you have any of your mental notes that you remembered or anything
I
that you
said
wanted to
them all.
add? Okay. But yeah, we can get into
He
this.
said all one of them. The tree. That tree scared me. We had a tree like that, and it scared me.
Do you want
Did you ever see that tree? It was scary.
Do you want the Rotten Tomatoes scores first, or do
No.
you wanna- so,
We always have to give our scores first.
Should
I
we
don't
have
wanna
our
be
guest
influenced.
give her score first?
Sure.
Okay. So my score was based on the fact that this created lasting fears for 40 years in my life that to this day still haunt me. And to me, for a movie about a haunting, of all the movies I've seen, maybe with the exception of Amityville Horror, I think this is the best haunted house movie I've ever seen. I give it a 93.
93 for Dave.
It's a great score. Brian, go.
I'm going to give it an 80.
You want to tell us why?
No, he just wants to say. He just want to add on to that.
This is definitely it had an impact on me from the time I watched it to the present day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love this movie. Carol Ann.
Very nice. Me, you, him.
Michelle gave this movie an 85 based on watching the last 15 minutes of it. So it'd probably be like a 90 if she had watched the whole thing.
85.
But she had to go food shopping.
Oh, yeah.
I give this movie a 90. I love this movie. I want to watch it again right now. Not critically. I just want to watch it and have fun and not make fun of like the stupid stuff, because there's some stupid stuff. But man, Steven Spielberg can direct a movie. Even if he didn't direct this movie,
Toby Hooper can also direct a movie.
he had a lot. Yeah, I don't know if he can. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a director's. That's not a marvelous directing job.
Have you seen Life Force?
I have not seen Life Force. I love this movie. 90.
Thank you. I'm throwing out my 88
miles an hour.
88 miles an hour. I know it's not Back to the Future, but it's a great movie. Again, a movie I'd love to watch again. I hadn't seen this movie in at least 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, it had been a while.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen this too, for sure.
It's been a long time since I'd seen this movie. So, some of the surprises, like we talked about, like the tornado, I did not remember that. So a lot of it was, you could say not new, but it was surprisingly new for me, I guess, right? But 88, I enjoyed it, and I would love to watch it again. Yeah.
How did those ghosts conjure up a tornado? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, there was a storm every single night there.
It hasn't rained.
Where it doesn't rain in California.
It hasn't rained in California in like 7 years. How'd they have 2 nights in a row with storms?
What's next week? Do we know what our next movie is?
Oh, I don't know.
I forget.
We're doing the thing next week, but I don't know if that's coming out before Friday the 13th Part 3. It's either one of those.
Because we don't really know the order that they're coming out in, so I won't really.
We're trying to get everything out before Halloween, all our scary movies.
And
this is a great Halloween movie. This is so much fun.
This is definitely perfect for the month. Yes.
Yeah.
And when I go back and think about the movies I made my kids watch, I did not make them watch this. I should have made them watch this, because it probably would have fucked them up. Like that clown.
And you know what?
They would have been like scared of things.
Like, what? It's rated PG.
I mean, my kids are scared of their shadow. A preview comes on in a scary movie, and they're like, turn the channel. I'm like, it's a preview, you pussies. Like, watch it. And this
you said you showed Logan something. You were going to say what scene? The only scene.
The guy's tearing his face apart.
Oh, yeah.
And Logan didn't find that all that. He's like, it's so stupid looking, because it's obviously fake looking. It's very terrible now. But I remember in 1982 being like, can we leave now, please? Because that guy just ripped his face apart.
Yeah, that had a huge effect. Maggots have a
huge
effect.
That was great. The fact that he dropped the chicken and then looked down, there were maggots, and he'd like, whoa.
Yeah, that was rough. The maggots.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Marty's not coming back. I wouldn't go back either. Yeah, that's enough for me.
But this has been a fun one. We could be found everywhere: Spreaker, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere you get your podcasts, wherever you download them. Listen, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. The Jazoo on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. I'm Jason.
AE Gonzo 1970 on Instagram, AE Gonzo 1 on Twitter. I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian, Papa Bad Kitty.
I'm Dana. Dana Caps on TikTok, because it's the only thing I do.
All right.
That's the only thing she does. Follow her.
Yes, please.